What if sleep wasn't meant to be unconscious? What if you could remain fully aware, not by dreaming, not by projecting, but simply by breathing? In ancient esoteric schools, masters spoke of a forgotten path, one where breath was the anchor, not just for meditation, but for sleep itself. They claimed that if you stayed aware of the breath long enough, the line between waking and sleeping would blur, and you'd cross into a lucid stillness, not a dream, not astral travel, but a sacred state of presence through the sleep cycle. Your body sleeps, your mind slows, but awareness, subtle, quiet, remains. This isn't about control, it's about devotion to presence. Watching breath like a flame, all the way into sleep. Breath becomes the bridge, the tether, the key. Few remember it, fewer practice it. But the ancient texts say those who master breath during sleep awaken within the dream, and eventually awaken from it. And it all begins by staying with one breath. Breathing is usually unconscious, it flows on its own. But what happens when you bring it into awareness, not just during the day, but as you fall asleep? Most people lose connection with the breath the moment sleep takes over. Yet in ancient teachings, breath was the thread that held awareness through all transitions: waking, sleeping, dying. In Hermetic and yogic traditions, practitioners used subtle breath tracking to remain anchored during the descent into sleep. This isn't about controlling breath, but noticing it, watching it soften, watching it slow until your body sleeps, but your witness stays alert. Here's the practice. As you lie down, begin watching your breath like a silent observer. No judgment, no manipulation, just presence. Feel each inhale like a wave. Feel each exhale dissolve like mist. The body becomes heavier. The mind begins to drift. But you stay. The key is to resist the pull of thoughts and stories. Instead of chasing dreams, return to breath, over and over. When you get lost, gently return. That return, that's the awakening. As you continue night after night, something begins to shift. At first, the practice might feel simple, even boring, but consistency unlocks the gate. You start to notice the subtle space between thought and breath. You feel the body fall asleep, yet the watcher remains. This is not lucid dreaming. It's lucid presence. In Tibetan dream yoga, this state is called rigpa, pure awareness, undisturbed by form. In Hermetic alchemy, it's the inner observer, the silent eye of spirit that never sleeps. And when you learn to carry breath through the veil of sleep, you create a bridge, a portal between the seen and unseen. The breath becomes your compass. Every inhale grounds you. Every exhale expands you. You drift, yes, but you never disconnect. And in time, you may find yourself aware inside the dream, not by accident, but by breath. This is a sacred practice, not a trick. You are training the soul to remain present in all states. And the more you walk that edge between sleep and awareness, the more you dissolve the illusion that consciousness must end when the body sleeps. If this path spoke to you, don't just let it fade. Carry it with you tonight. Try the practice and then return here to share what you experienced. Subscribe for more hidden practices, and let's keep walking this path together, awake even in our dreams. In this stage, subtle awareness deepens. The ego tries to reclaim control through thoughts, memories, distractions, but you no longer follow. You are anchored in breath, and from this anchor, a quiet clarity emerges. You may begin to witness dream images arise like mist from a still lake, but instead of being pulled into their story, you remain as the stillness beneath. This is what mystics described as the watcher of the watcher, a presence so subtle it sees even the one who is observing. Sleep becomes less of an escape and more of a doorway. The space where breath leads you becomes luminous. You're not dreaming about light. You are inside the light. And in that light, you remember, you are not the body that sleeps, nor the mind that dreams. You are the presence behind both. Hermetic teaching spoke of ensouling the breath, animating it with will and consciousness. This practice is that in action. Breath, attention, silence. These are your tools now. No dogma, no technique, just being. There is an ancient instruction hidden in the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. It says, as you drift into sleep, place your awareness not only on the breath, but on the space between the brows, the third eye. Feel the breath rise to this center with each inhale, and then gently sink to the heart with each exhale. No effort, no control, just noticing. This invisible current from brow to heart becomes a secret bridge. Mystics taught that if you follow it long enough, you enter a luminous state, half dream, half awakening, where consciousness no longer collapses into sleep. Instead, you are carried. Some called it the subtle passage, others the rehearsal for death. For in both sleep and death, the body falls away, but awareness can remain. And it all begins with a breath that moves not just through the lungs, but through the soul's deepest centers. Close your eyes, not to sleep, but to return inward. Tonight, before you sleep, place all your attention on your breath. Not your thoughts, not your body, just the breath. Feel the air enter and leave through your nose as if your whole existence is hinged on this gentle tide. Now, allow sleep to come, but do not follow it. Remain aware. Ride the breath like a thread pulling you through the night. If the mind wanders, return to the breath. If a dream begins, observe it, without losing your anchor. This is not a lucid dream. This is not astral projection. This is waking sleep. The breath becomes your talisman, your tether to consciousness while the body sleeps. Mystics called this the golden bridge, the subtle link between two worlds. At first you may forget, you may fall, but each night you return, you get closer to walking in sleep with eyes wide open. In the early nights, something strange begins to unfold. You wake in the middle of a dream, not with a jolt, but with a soft awareness, as though you've been watching from a quiet corner all along. You're still asleep, yet you know you're dreaming. The breath is your only anchor, steady and subtle, and instead of being swept away by the dream, you're breathing within it. The surroundings shift, surreal and symbolic, yet you're calm. It's not lucid dreaming in the usual sense. There's no urge to control. You're simply present. Doubts creep in. Is this real? Am I awake? But your breath says otherwise. You notice how every inhale pulls you back, every exhale lets you sink deeper. The boundary between observer and dreamer thins. This is not a trick, it's a new mode of awareness. You're not escaping sleep, you're deepening into it, and something sacred, begins to respond. Durpas. As your body begins to melt into the bed, begin to breathe gently through your nose. Inhale slowly, feeling the cool air rise up the spine. And as you do, mentally whisper, I am aware. Hold it just a moment, then exhale, letting the breath flow like a warm river down the body, silently saying, I remain here. Let this rhythm become your lullaby, not for sleep, but for presence. This is not a mantra to hypnotize. It's a signal to the soul. Inhale, I am aware. Exhale, I remain here. Each breath is now a thread anchoring consciousness to the body. And the moment you forget, gently return. No judgment. You're not trying to stay awake forcefully. You're allowing awareness to sink deeper as the body lets go. Some report a shift, a moment where the body disappears, but the mind floats, tethered to breath alone. This is the threshold. Stay with it, and let the breath carry you not into unconscious sleep, but into luminous dreaming. While most dreamers remain unconscious within nightly stories, there's a refined doorway hidden in plain sight, a method known in Tibetan dream yoga and Dzogchen as Rigpa breath anchoring. This technique weaves conscious presence into the sleep process itself. Begin each night by reviewing your day and setting a firm intent. I will remain aware in sleep. As you lie down, continue the nasal breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 4, while mentally repeating, I remain aware. This neural cue weaves awareness into the subconscious. As you drift toward sleep, clinging to this pattern, the breath becomes your anchor. Dreams may begin, Emotion may stir, but whenever they threaten to pull you in, return to breath, to intention. After several nights of consistency, something shifts. You awaken inside a dream, not startled, but with subtle lucidity. You feel the texture of awareness while floating in a symbolic dreamscape. This isn't about controlling events, but observing them. Time distorts, images shift, yet your anchor holds. You may recall fragments of karmic symbols, personal archetypes, or emotional clarity. The mind recognizes breath as home, even amid illusion. That silent witness, Rigpa, emerges, merging observer and dreamer. You don't conquer sleep, you enter it, awake, aware, luminous. And so, as your body lies in slumber, your awareness can remain, not by force, not by willpower, but by softness. By gently anchoring to the breath, you become the witness, the silent observer of the dreamscape. You might feel the pull of unconsciousness, but each inhale becomes a tether, each exhale a letting go into conscious stillness. This is not about controlling the dream, it's about remaining present within it. Tibetan dream yogis called this milam, the yoga of the dream, not to escape reality but to see through it. As you drift tonight, hold this sacred thread. With each breath, say inwardly, I am here, and as you exhale, I remain aware. Let this mantra blend with your breath until the boundary between waking and sleeping dissolves. The breath doesn't stop when the body sleeps, neither must your awareness. Through this path, night becomes your temple and silence becomes your teacher. The real question is, will you remember to remember? If sleep is meant to be unconscious, why do some ancient teachings insist that true awakening begins inside it? Do you think we are supposed to wake up in our dreams? Or is sleep meant to remain a mystery?